Solo 4s. Aw man, Beats, you have found your way back to my life. Full disclosure guys, Beats has been a huge brand that I have looked at ever since I was a teenager, back in my early days when the Beats brand was popular with mainstream, with people and the looks and all that. And it seems like Beats is going into that route again, but also improving the technology by making the brand new Beats Solo 4s. Now the Beats Solo 4s have been some of, if not my favorite pair of on-ear headphones. All of their incarnations have been a very, very good hit. From the Solo Pro, the Solo 3s, and now the Solo 4s. It's been a while since we've seen an update, so it's really nice to see this. And listen, you're probably clicking on this video and you're like, what the heck does that title say? Well, stay till around the 5-minute mark because I'm going to explain why. But let's talk about the positives. First of all, the biggest positive is the sound quality. These are a huge improvement over the Solo 3s. They are not only better sounding, they have more clarity, they're more in the mids and high end, but the bass is also nicely present. It's not deep and pronounced compared to the Solo 3s where they were more like very punchy. These are more naturally blended in. So that's the one thing that I can say. From my preference, in my opinion, I like the sound profile of the Solo 4s. That's number one. Number two, the other area that is really, really good is the form factor. It is obviously the Solo 3s. These are not your typical headphones that are going to go and revolutionize the design. It's simply what Apple did with the Studio Pros. They took the Solo 3 and took the housing, tweaked a few things, made the ear cups a little bit more plush, and then you get this. Now, it's very lightweight, it's minimal. It does feel the same in quality of the original Solo 3s, but I'm not really here to complain about that. So I actually think the lightweight design is pretty good. Now, when it comes to the battery life, it does get a huge bump in battery. Where the original Solos were 40 hours, these are now rocking 50 hours. So you might not need to charge this thing for at least maybe a month and a half or maybe more. On top of that, it also has improved microphone quality in performance. It is very, very good in noisy environment. I did notice that in comparisons to the original Solo 3s, that these headphones were absolutely tremendous. And the best part about these new headphones, and with all the Beats lineup, is that they are now more eco-friendly to not only Apple users, but that they are also eco-friendly to Android. However, where these things do still lie and have their Apple exclusivity is they now have a built-in gyroscope for 3D audio. So that means you can use these and you can now get the motion tracking with Dolby Atmos. If you turn your head, you get the nice sound from every angle, and all in all, it is a huge improvement. The other areas that's a huge improvement is the charging port. It still has a brand new USB-C. I say still because USB-C has been on everything, but it's nice that it's made its way over to the Solo. It has very good fast charging, and it also has the 3.5 headphone jack. So it looks like, hey, we got some versatility here. So that's a huge positive. And the best thing, the last thing, the biggest positive that I personally enjoy is the lossless audio. You can now use these headphones, you can charge them, and you could use the lossless audio either by the USB-C port or the 3.5 input. And if you use the 3.5 input, just like the classic Solos, if these things die, you can still use them without it being powered on. So that's a huge, huge positive all in all. Now, the last thing to talk about is the form factor and the carrying case that comes with it. Essentially, it is the same that is in all of the Beats branding. It's also very similar to the Studio Pro, has a better carrying pouch. It is very, very small. You can put it in, you could attach it to your computer or attach it to whatever bag or thing you have, and it's super, super light. Now, by this part of the video, you guys are saying, well, wait a minute, Mike, these are not your typical reviews. I mean, you usually take your time, you go into details, you kind of do a lot of things, and you're kind of going all over the place here. Well, listen, guys, these are a very good pair of headphones. I fully do think that the price range for $199 is not a bad asking price for on-ear headphones. I think for what they serve, the fact that they do have Apple eco-friendly features and Android eco-friendly features, I think that these are very good for those that want to get into the Beats brand. And I do think that it's better suited for Android users, especially in the updating the firmware department. But here's the thing, guys. This is completely a different video. I'm kind of reviewing it, but I'm also going to be honest with you guys. I think that there are two other headphones on the market that I think not only outperform these, but are also worth your consideration. See, here's the thing, guys. These headphones retail for $200. Now, for $200, they're not the most expensive headphone in the world. They're not the worst headphones either. However, there is another headphone that everybody's been glossing over, forgets that it even exists, and have managed to keep it so under the radar that there is no comparison video on YouTube talking about these. They'll only compare them to the Studio Pro. Well, I'm going to be the one to do it. The Beats Solo Pros. See, here's the thing, guys. They did release a brand new pair of Beats Solos way back in 2019, and these are them. The Solo Pros are not only a pro version of the Solos, but they were supposed to be the new and improved line to accommodate the Studio Pro and the Solo line. The thing is that Apple outpriced them from the get-go. $299 was just way too much money for anybody for on-ear headphones. And as a result, it got discontinued and Apple dropped it. However, in recent times, we have seen the Solo Pros make their way back. They've been on sale with real websites, and I actually am here to argue that I think the Solo Pros are the better choice than the Solo 4. And I'm gonna list why. Number one, the most obvious: active noise canceling and transparency. That is a huge feature for every user that uses wireless earbuds. Now, I understand there's a portion of people that don't need this feature and a lot of people don't even want it. But transparency is a feature that everyone uses to hear your environments. Now, granted, the Solo Pros, even though they do have an open ear design, you can still hear everything. When you press the active noise canceling, it does a very, very good job of surrounding the ambience around you. And they are slightly bigger than the Solo 4s. You could see the difference here in the form factor. So it does cover more surface of your ears. The other thing is that with the transparency, when you turn it on, you could hear everything. Now, granted, the microphone quality on the Solo Pros may not be up to par as the Solo 4s in terms of transparency, but there's no transparency on these things to begin with. So that's one. Number two, the sound quality is so much better on the Solo Pros, and it's obvious why. Because first of all, even though these are using a customized 40mm driver, these things have a slightly bigger driver and are not only tuned very similarly to these, but these have better bass, they have better clarity, they have a better separation soundstage altogether. So I understand that these are not audiophile headphones. I understand a lot of people are not going to look at these and say audiophile. But if you want something that costs about the same, I would argue that these sound just as good, if not even better. Now, I understand back when these came out that they had a lot of pressure at the top of your head. So do these. These also have the same pressure, the same thing. The only thing that this has that might maybe consider you not to get is the clamping force. But that's the thing about it. It clamps on but doesn't squeeze you. It goes just nicely to cover your entire ear compared to the original ones, so you can get that active noise canceling. But that's not the other reason. The next reason is that these have the H1 chip, which is something that a lot of people have been highlighting, that it feels more like a downgrade than an upgrade. Now, I understand that the in-house chips that Beats is making is kind of like a watered down version of the W1 chip, but having the H1 gives you that automatic seamless pairing if you are an Apple user. You also get the active connected, so if you're going from one device to the other, you don't have to manually switch it over. And the best part about it is that it does a better job of syncing up with your Apple devices comparatively. And it still works just as friendly with Android because of the app support and the firmware updates as well. So you guys are now asking the question, but wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute, Mike. This has a lightning connector. Why would I want headphones with lightning? Well, listen, I hear you, I understand. I get it. I do understand that lightning is being phased out. Lightning is not a connector you would want. If you're an Android user, you don't want lightning. I understand that. But here's the thing, lightning is still around for iPhone users no matter where you go. And honestly speaking, they sell adapters now that are MF certified by Apple to convert your USB-C connector to a lightning connector, and it supports speeds up to 27 watts of fast charging. So you get your hands on an adapter for $5, there you go. You can still use your USB-C cable, you just plug the adapter in, plug it in, and boom, you're done. So you could ask yourself, is it worth paying $200 for USB-C or just get an adapter for $5? And then let's talk about that. The last thing, I probably mentioned it before, but the price. When these things came out, they were $299, but it's not anymore. They've dropped significantly. You could go on eBay right now and you could find certified refurbished models or even brand new models that retail for $179. That's $20 cheaper than the Beats Solo 4, and they also give you all that in the premium package department. Now, I understand that I'm probably going off in a tangent here, and you guys are probably saying I'm being very unfair to the Beats Solo 4s. Listen, there is a purpose here. They do a great job, but there's also one more headphone that we haven't even mentioned, and that is the Studio Pros. The Studio Pros are an all-around better headphone. Active noise canceling, over-ear design, better cabin pressure, and also it does have lossless. It has a 3.5. Granted, you won't be able to use it offline, but here's one thing that the Solos don't even have. It has sound profiles if you want to use the lossless audio. So if you use lossless, you can also have entertainment mode, vocal mode, and the Beat signature sound. So you have EQs. And best part about it, these things are always on sale, sometimes half off, and they're even cheaper than the Solo 4s. Now listen guys, I know I went on a rant and rave. I know that this is probably not your typical review, and I don't want to shit on these headphones. I really don't. But as a guy, if you're asking me, I have reviewed hundreds and thousands of headphones in the last 5 years. Let's put a little quotation there, over exaggerating. But I reviewed tons of headphones. There are so many other brands out there that are definitely a lot better than Beats. But if you're an Apple user or a user that loves the Beats headphones, you really need to consider your options here. I'm not here to say that these are terrible headphones, nor are they even bad headphones. They do have lossless, the 3D audio, but as a person, myself, I don't use the 3D head tracking. I don't like spatial audio. I like the regular stereo sound. That's my preference. And the Solo Pros do have spatial audio. It won't be head tracking, but it supports it. But all in all, guys, you have to be the deciding factor. Do you feel that spending $200 on the Solo 4s is worth your investment, minus all the features and kinks that the Studio Pros and even the Solo Pros have? Or do you think you could spend $20 less, pick up a pair of the Solo Pros, get a lot of those features? Sure, lightning may be a drawback, there may be no 3.5, but considering everybody is going wireless anymore and you don't really need to use Beats headphones as serious audio headphones, you need to ask the question, is it worth it to spend that money? That remains up to be you. But I just wanted to make this video because all in all, I do think these are great headphones, but I think the options out there are so much better, even from within its own brand. So the choice is yours, guys. The choice is yours.